Hi everyone, welcome to Type Talks. Today we're here with Chufue, and we're here to discuss one of the quirks of TI users, which is informing you with the information you need to make a decision, and then letting you make it as you go. I noticed with TP types, whether they're ISTP, INTP, ENTP, or ESTP, is that they actually want to tell you the data behind your decision, and they want you to be fully informed, especially if they really care about you. And this is a talent that they do really well. And so, to give you an example of this, Chufu heard that I was buying a new mic. He was informing me of the data behind the mics. And he's like, now that you know all the information, if you want to buy a gimmicky mic that lights up, then feel free to. At least you know the difference between a high quality mic and a low quality mic. And I leave that up to you.
Right. So for the Joyce story example, yeah, there's various different types of mics, and I can deep dive into that. But the point of the fact is that there is no objectively right mic that Joyce could have bought, because that's ultimately her decision. It's not my decision to buy the mic on behalf of Joyce. That's ultimately her decision. I feel like the way I would show care as a TP user and a TI DOM is to inform Joyce of all the possibilities, all the pros and cons, all the gimmicks, all the various uses, and everything in between from what Joyce was looking for in a mic. So with the mic example, the mic Joyce pick lights up very well. A lot of gamer RGB stuff, so to say. But professional recording studio mics don't do a lot of the RGB stuff. So there's a pro and con. Whether or not RGB is a objectively correct choice is the decision that I will ultimately leave to Joyce when she was buying the mic. But I wanted to point that out just because if Joyce was looking for a mic that was professional studio quality or even podcasting quality, RGB may or may not help in that instance. Same thing with various other things, such as scalability of the mic. Various mics, this is me deep diving in microphone. Mics take XLR input and some mics do USB input. So if Joyce wanted to scale up to professional studio, maybe one day she may want to invest in an XLR mic right now, just so later on as she gets a bigger and bigger studio, she may be able to carry that XLR mic into bigger and bigger sound engineering, mixing board setups and whatnot. Whereas a mic that's USB right now, kind of like the one I have, that one doesn't scale so well to professional XLR inputs and stuff. So again, there are various pros and cons to the different type of mics, or just any decisions in general. At a certain point, with any decision, there's a baseline level of choices, and the TP users and the TI DOMs, especially like me, really want to make sure that the people who we care about are very well informed in making their choices, because at the end of the day, that's their choice to live with, and we want them to make the best choice for themselves, not on our behalf, not because we said so, not because we're forcing them so, but just because we genuinely want them to make the choice out of their own understanding and their own permission or consent, or what's another word, Joyce? Their own
Agency, their own discretion.
right, yeah, agency, discretion, volition, all those things. We want, ultimately, I want the other person to make the choice for themselves, and I want my role just to be one to inform the person of their choice. I do not want any say in having them make the choice on my behalf or anything.
Yeah. And you'll notice this idiosyncrasy in a lot of your TP friends, or at least in a lot of the TP friends I have from Type Talks. And this is what differentiates them from a lot of TJs I know. A lot of extroverted thinking users, so let's say ESTJs and ENTJs, will actually tell me exactly what to do with my show. So you need to play this opening, or you should do less of this. But it's more directive. And they do see that they have the right way of doing things and that they know what's efficient and effective. Whereas TPs usually will give you a lot of information, and then they'll usually pass the ball to you because they value making decisions that they ultimately land on themselves and giving you the chance to think it through yourself and make the decision you think makes the most sense for your situation, which any type can do. But I notice TPs really care about your autonomy. And I'll give you an example. So, Chufu believes in stray cats, in that if someone wants to be with you, it's their choice to be with you, and every day they make that choice to be with you. And if one day they choose to not be with you, then it honors the other person the most to let them choose to stay or leave. But ultimately, you give them that freedom to choose every single day what they commit to.
Exactly. I never want to constrict or cage or force anyone into any situation. Just like how most people, not most people, I imagine, but if you were to befriend a stray animal, you're not supposed to befriend wild animals and stuff. But sometimes out in nature, you do. Maybe you've seen stuff where people befriend local crows or something, or just even things like just the local birds coming by because you've set up a little feeding station for birds, or just anything like that, really. I don't wanna be in a situation with people, let alone animals, to where I'm forcing them to come to my lawn, so to speak, to hang out with me just because I'm so entitled or so special. With the animal analogy, if a crow wants to visit my backyard or hang out with me as I walk around the neighborhood, that's totally on the crow. I'm not gonna force the crow to do that, nor am I gonna wait for the crow specifically to come out for me to do my walk. I'm gonna do my walk, and if a crow happens to show up and join me, that's fine. If it doesn't, that's fine too. But ultimately, that's up to the crow to decide if it does or doesn't want to hang out with me. And that's just the animal analogy, but that also scales with people too, for better or for worse.
Yeah, exactly. And so when it comes to TPs, they really respect your autonomy to make your own decisions and to decide for yourself. Just like how they typically don't want to be bossed around or told what to do or to have their freedom impinged upon. It's an act of love for a TP type to let you make your own decisions every single day because they
And
would
that
never
is
want to be controlled in that kind of way.
And that is for better for worse, which I should stress again. It is for better and for worse. So if you're making a decision that's objectively for the better, we as the TP users won't stop you. But also, if you're making a decision that's objectively for the worse, we may also not want to stop you either. And that's for the worse. So it gets into some pretty dark places if you take that out to its many extremes. But ultimately, that was your choice and you picked for the worse. But I feel like the TP users in us will respect you for that.
Yeah, especially if they do not have Enneagram 1 in their tri-type, then they'll be even more lenient with that. And so this is just a tiny little pattern I see within TI users. And of course, it may not apply for every TI user because we're all individual beings, but I do see this happening very commonly. So, yeah, thank you, TI users, for informing us with correct information. I appreciate it. It leaves Joyce with better mics, and it also leaves society with better thinking. It leaves society with better Why do I say it like an Asian? Thinking.
Thinking.
And so, thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you all in the next video. Bye.